Opposite the current location of Wood Lane Station is Television Centre. But otherwise this area is considered quite mundane. Anything interesting? Yeah, just Westfield really. But these people are wrong. This is Bacon's up-to-date map of London dating from 1912, showing the massive exhibition grounds across the road. Just north of Shepherd's Bush, Wood Lane and Latimer Road aren't so far from each other. This walk starts at Wood Lane Station on the Hammersmith City and ends down the line at Latimer Road. It's traditional to show some highlights of the upcoming walk right here. Well, there's the Westfield shopping centre. There's an ex-motorway. Some old sheds. This walk, though, is in two halves. There's the Westfield shopping centre, and then there's the rest. Luckily, a security guard in Westfield noticed that I was carrying a camera and banned me from taking shots. So maybe that's all for the best. Anyway, Wood Lane Station. What's the beef? It opened as recently as 2008, exactly 100 years since it was originally opened, to serve the 1908 Franco-British exhibition, which was held at White City. What eventually became the Hammersmith City line was, back in the day, a joint venture between the Metropolitan Railway and the Great Western Railway. They opened a station here on the 1st of May 1908, which they called Exhibition Station, Wood Lane. It closed in 1914. Then it reopened again in 1920 and was called White City. That's not the Central Line station of the same name, that's down the road. And then this station closed again in 1959. And then it opened again in 2008, and here we are. TfL, as they built the new station, reused the original mosaic roundel in the station, which is quite beautiful. Wood Lane is the anti-penultimate station alphabetically on the London Underground, and it's named after this road we're walking along, Wood Lane. Just a moment, I'm going to put baby in a corner. We can go back in time, and every map we go back through, the landscape here is completely different. Back to the turn of the 19th century, and everything around here is agricultural. Meadows and pasture on this map are marked in green. Arable fields are in yellow. And, according to the cartographer Milne, the field in the bottom left corner of this map contained hops. There's a stream called Counters Creek running north-south across the centre of the map. East of it was the Norland estate. The soil around Counters Creek was ideal for brickmaking, and one brickfield has developed by the estate beside a lane called Green's Lane. In the 1830s, and while lots of the area is still farmland, Nottingdale has arrived on the scene, or rather in those days colloquially called the Piggeries or the potteries. Some pig keepers had been expelled from both the Marble Arch and Tottenham Court Road area, and this settled here. In the 1830s the Green Lane brickfield has expanded radically, and many of those keeping pigs turned their hands to brickmaking. There were no planning restrictions, and, no proper drainage or sanitary arrangements. Extraction of the clay left large holes. These became filled with stagnant water, pig slurry and sewage. And one of these pools grew to such proportions that it became known as the ocean. There were many tales of terrible deaths as drunken people fell into the ocean and drowned on a dark night. The area was very poor, and while Green Lane was renamed to Pottery Lane, the road had become so crime-ridden that it became known as Cutthroat Lane. By 1860, Counters Creek was culverted and filled in, and its bed became the route of the track for the West London Junction Railway. This connected Willesden Junction with Clapham Junction. The area east of the railway was rapidly urbanising. There's a short-lived area name on the map, Norland Town. The railway provided a barrier stopping creeping urbanisation crossing the tracks, and the area west of the tracks is still largely fields. We'll zoom in a bit and move forward the 40 years to 1900. Wood Lane is the road on the extreme left of the map. Brickmaking has crossed the tracks, but it's become a lot less important in the potteries, Nottingdale. But that area has urbanised even more. It's a tale for another video, but living conditions in this area were desperate. There's another railway crossing the map, the Hammersmith and City line, and even a third, part of the short-lived Outer Circle line. This was a circular railway beyond the confines of the current Circle line. The first Wood Lane station hadn't opened yet. That happened in 1908. And on the 1950s map, Wood Lane station on the Hammersmith and City line has come and gone in the 50 years between the maps. But the station names in the area were very confusing. Wood Lane station here was the old White City station on the Central line, with its curved platforms. It's marked as disused because a new White City station on the Central line has been opened to the north. And while the industrial area, evident on the 1950s map, was swept away by the arrival of the Westfield shopping centre, these engine sheds are still here. So, after we deal with the upside down house just outside Wood Lane station, the Westfield Centre hoons into view. Now this is not even my footage because as I said I was banned by the security guard at Debenhams, see? Doesn't even exist anymore. My footage roundabout starts here. And I was already on my way out. There's still a bit of construction going on in the Westfield Centre just across the road here. Something exciting apparently is coming. And some very, 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 very generic flats on the right. This could be anywhere. Rotterdam, Liverpool or Rome. But it's Shepherd's Bush. The back of the Westfield in all its glory. And if you live over in the Nottingdale area, this is your walk really. You've got to get through this junction and then to the other side, but at least you can get here. You're not completely reliant on a car or a bus. You can actually use Shanks's pony. So it's quite hidden from view, but you're crossing the what was the M41, which was the West Cross route from a roundabout on the Westway down to the Holland Park roundabout. And this is us walking over the top of it because it's underneath. But luckily for everyone concerned, the 60s planners didn't get their way, and the London Ringway project, which would have looked like this when complete, only had two real bits finished, which was the West Cross route, this bit, and the bits north and south of the Blackwall Tunnel. As I said, this is in two halves because because this side of the motorway, it's completely different from the Westfield side. This is much more normal. We're transitioning here from all this new build to some of the more original buildings of the area. And even though I really want to go left here, I'm just going to walk up to the main road to pass a fantastic cafe. So I assume these buildings on the left here are Victorian. They look a lot older than even the ones across the road, which are post-war really. And this is the aforesaid cafe. You get a fine breakfast in the Embassy Cafe. But we're just going to go up here and then hang a left. This is the left that I am hanging, and straight ahead when it comes into view is the People's Hall. It's the red brick one straight across the road, and it was the focal point for the collective of the 120 or so residents of the self-proclaimed independent Republic of Frestonia, and they'd meet there to discuss community affairs. And it's also a seminal location for many of the notable musicians of London. The Clash, Motorhead, Killing Joke and Girls' School were all there at some point. Post-war, the streetscape of this area underwent a hell of a lot of changes. The Westway was put through in the late 60s, and it cut a lot of roads off from each other. And one of the quirks of the London Underground system is that there's a station called Latimer Road, which is ahead here. But Latimer Road is, well, miles away, but it's a long way away. It got cut off by the Westway and is now north of the Westway, and this station south of the Westway. So Latimer Road station is no longer in Latimer Road at all. And this area was really the epicenter of the Republic of Frestonia, but I'm not going to cover the story of that in this walk. I think that's going to happen in the next walk, which is starting at Latimer Road, so it seems fitting. I've done a lot less cutting recently. I've actually shown you a lot of the latter part of this walk. It's a bit more interesting than the shopping centre we were in. It seems like a distant memory. Is that a roundel I see before me? So we've well and truly arrived at Latimer Road station. The welcoming glow of a Nisa local. And there we go. And you think I'd be walking back there, but I'm not going to. I think I'm going to have myself a pint. This is the infamous Pig and Whistle. It's a classic old London boozer, but I'll keep stum now. Pint John Smith, please. Anyway, that's my pint, and I'll see you next time.